All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the September. I forgot what month we're in. The September meeting of the Southern Fried DNN User Group. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here, both in person and online. We've got a good evening ahead of us, where we're going to hear about the upcoming DNN Summit. We're going to talk about some community news and updates to DNN in general. We're going to hear from David Rodriguez, and we're going to focus in on Azure. And then we're going to have a guest announcement from Joe Brinkman himself for some DNN big announcements at the end of the evening. So everybody stay tuned for what we have. Just switching screens and bringing up a little bit of information here for tonight's meeting. We do have, as always, different sponsors helping us out to bring these sessions to you every month, and our sponsor for this month is JetBrains, who we know and love for really providing us some fantastic giveaways that we're able to share. Join us online and in person here, and so we do have to give a shout out and some love to JetBrains, and suggest that everyone check them out. They're part of what help us make this session possible every month. To begin with, community buzz and announcements. Really, I'm going to talk about my item here in just a moment, but we're going to move over to DNN Summit in a minute as well. David, do we have any other general things outside of that? Any NV Quick Site release announcements or anything that we want to get in community-wise?
We should have a new release of NV Quick Site coming up. I was hoping to get it out this week, but it looks like it's going to be next week. And it will be rolling in support for Evoke packages to be installed as well, so that'd be great.
That's fantastic. You think next month we can have a 10, 15-minute show of that, since this is the first time that's going to have Evoke packages in it?
Absolutely.
I would love that. All right. Well then, community-wise, let me jump right into DNN Summit. DNN Summit is the next upcoming DNN conference that is being put together by really a group of people who are participating and working together every day, every week, to put forward more steps to get this thing to come to fruition and be an exciting, excellent community conference event. So DNN Summit's happening Denver 2017. It is January the 18th through the 23rd. If you're not familiar or haven't heard yet, a little bit different than some of the recent DNN cons. This is going to be a 3-day conference during the week. The first 3 days of the conference are us getting down to serious business, training sessions, speaker sessions, and then the rest of the conference is us all having a great time on the ski slopes there in Denver. And the packages for the convention are including lift tickets and time off and snow tubing and all kinds of exciting things. So more than ever before, this is a chance to come and hang out with all of your friends in the DNN community and have some vacation time. I can imagine folks are going to bring some families more than they might have before in the past. But two, it's not all about fun and games. It's some serious training, serious sessions. And to that point, it's a segue to mention that the call for speakers is ending this Friday. Now, they might extend that, especially if people are still putting together the specifics of their sessions, but we have that initial call for speakers that is up this Friday, and if anyone hasn't put together their notes, please do so. They're really wanting to encourage people to put things together, even if it's just a brief outline of what you want or a concept for a session. Get it in there so that they know you're interested, and they can follow up with the specific details with you afterwards. Remember, too, that anyone that is accepted as a speaker and is going to be giving a session will receive a conference pass as part of that. So as a thank you for you coming to speak, you get a free pass to the conference. To everyone else that's attending, part of the planning, part of the preparation is knowing how many people are going to come. So even though it's all the way out in January, they're encouraging everyone to please go ahead and register. At this point, you can register and you can pay for the level that you want to have for the conference. That includes the decisions on whether you're going to come to the training sessions beforehand or you're just coming to the conference portions. We're going to have a couple of things that we haven't had before in recent conventions. So It's a good point to mention that there is also a half-day training track that is going to be the intro to DNN for really people who are getting an introduction and needing editor-level information and training. And that half-day is a different price. But then there's also going to be a business roundtable that is also a half-day. And that business roundtable is going to have a purpose. It's going to have things that are going on, and it's going to be advice to everyone, back and forth with solutions they've come up with and things they know, and trading advice. But really, I think of it as everyone getting to know each other before they go into the conference. So it's a good time that if you're coming into town early, everyone should try and hit that business roundtable and connect with your peers that you're going to see for the rest of the conference and all the days of the week while you're there. That is pretty much it for DNN Summit. David, do you think of anything else I should mention at this point? All right. Who gave Brinkman a new chair? All right, so we have the official peanut gallery running if Clint has now joined us. Another piece of information, which is probably better for me to pass over to Joe Brinkman to announce and to relate. But I personally noticed maybe a week ago or so that the download connections that are present on the public DNN software website were different than they had been before. Now, when I started to download, that download file just came directly to me, and I wasn't transferred over to another location, and I didn't have all the build versions available. And I took a second glance and thought, wait, what just happened? Oh, all right. I went to the DNN software website. I wanted a version. I just downloaded that version. It was fantastic. And I backed up just a little bit to find out what changes have been in place. But the official announcement was from the CodePlex location that DNN has officially completed their move over to GitHub. And as a part of that, this CodePlex location is currently up to date, but in the future it's probably going to fall behind or stop being used. And as part of that, there's both an announcement at the top of the page there that they have moved. And if you're interested in reading more about that move and the reason and the timing behind it, you can catch up with the blog article. In which there are good details that Joe put together that just kind of talk about the position and the reasoning why CodePlex was in place 15 years ago and how it was an integral part, and now there's a new move going forward and growing as you use new technology together in better ways. And GitHub is something that has been moved to, and as part of that, it was finally time to move over and make the official download locations connect to that directly. Joe, can you think of anything else to add to that? Did I leave out any important parts?
No, I think that covers pretty much everything. We've been on 2 different repositories for a while, and we've been testing this out for the last year, I guess, running on both of them simultaneously, and it was just time to finally make the move.
Mm-hmm. So if you need to find out a little bit more about that, be sure to read the blog article and keep up to date. You're basically going to find your downloads in the same place you would have been going to them to get anyway. Myself, I had followed some advice a while back of trying to always go to DNN Software to get my latest versions anyways instead of going directly to CodePlex. And that's kind of reestablished here with the links that they're going to keep up for what's there in GitHub. Obviously, you can go directly to the source, but you can still keep up with notes and important information as it's displayed if you are going to the download location, which is easier to use now than ever before. So with that as a endpoint, that's kind of our community information and things that we wanted to talk about in general. We're going to move into now introducing David Rodriguez. And David, if you want to, David Poindexter, if you want to go ahead and switch over and make him the presenter so we can see his screen. We will go ahead and get started with our speaker for the session, in which David Rodriguez has given presentations at DNN Connect and certainly blogged heavily about all things Azure love for the DNN platform. And we're going to have him here tonight talking a little bit about deploying and managing DNN on a Microsoft Azure platform, talking about if you've moved there and it's not operating in a bit, what can you do to help diagnose that, really finding those tips and tricks. So David, thank you for being here with us tonight, and take it away.
Okay, thank you so much for the invitation and the opportunity to share, this all the things and that I have, that they're going to share. Just I hope that this is the first one of many that hopefully in the future I can repeat with other subjects. Okay, well, always related to Azure, of course. Okay, you see my screen, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so well, I'm David Rodriguez. I'm the cloud team lead engineer at DNN Corp, and has been doing that since I think that 5 years now. When I started at DNN Corp with all starting developing things with DNN and Azure. So probably some of you know me because I first created the initial project that was the DNN-Azure Accelerator. That is initial project to deploy DNN on cloud services. Okay, so the project is not, that project is not dead, but today things has evolved a lot. It's continuous working, but as we can see, we will see in this presentation, we'll be I'm just advising to move to Azure websites or Azure VMs, just because of the technology that is below. So. Say that, this is what I'm going to share on this session. So just a fast introduction to the different flavors that we can have in Azure over IaaS or PaaS. That depending on if you choose VMs or just choose websites or SQL database or SQL Azure, or SQL Server on VMs. So there are different flavors. There are some pros and cons, some there are advantage on one over the other, and depends on what you choose. Then you will be able to do one thing or another. So, and then of course we will deploy in a DNN site there, and we'll cover very fast some initial tips and tricks. I think that we could do a second session with more deeper detail with some more harder and deeper aspects on having this working well. But I would like just to, for this session, just to introduce people that probably is coming from other from premises or from other hosters or from Amazon, just to to see an introduction here to deploy this on Azure. And just to something, of course, when you deploy something on Azure, or whatever place, you would like to know how it's operating. It's operating well, it's operating bad. So of course you need to monitor. So and I wanted to just also to introduce on this session application insights. I will be doing just very shortly as well. And finally pointing some all new resources. So say that. Okay, so let's start. And if I put this picture, I'd say, okay, this is very basic. So, but let's put the basics on for everybody here. So, this is what is normal when you deploy on premises a DNN instance. Okay, is what you get. It's a host with you can host multiple portals, and you do that normally on a web server. Okay, that is separate. Or most, on the most common of the cases, is separate from the database server. Okay, and the thing is that when you grow, okay, there are several options to scale on premises. Okay, so you can go, for example, in the web tier, you can go to web farms. In the file server, you can, for example, use NAS or creating something and have availability there. For the SQL server, historically there has been a lot of solutions like initial mirroring. These days, SQL Server always on is what is the hitting. I mean, it's the best way to do it. But so there are several options on each tier, to grow and and scale. Of course, this is a manual process that involves not only managing, just the DNN, but also all this stuff, the networking, storage, the servers. Of course, you will be doing mostly this virtualized, locally. But also you will need to maintain the operating system, of course maintain patches for SQL Server, and finally the data and application. That is what we want. All of you know this, also this picture, okay? About when going to the cloud, the models that we can use on the cloud, right? Infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and then software as a service. So in the case of, of DNN, in the right side, software as a service, well, I was thinking on examples, and well, perhaps the best example is just to, for example, evoke on demand, that is DNN as a service, that is currently offered this day by DNN Corp itself. And then we can also host by ourselves, okay? Each one can just open, just now concentrating in Azure, we can just open an Azure subscription and sign up for that and deploy in these two flavors, okay? That are infrastructure as a service and platform as a service. So well, if we see if we think again on what is DNN all about, it's all about the application and its data. It's about the file system, the models, the extensions, and the data, the content that is stored or in the file system or in the database. So, and that will be the thing that we would like to focus on, right? So, and if we see this stack, what makes more sense to me is just, okay, I think that is better for platform as a service will fit better, in our, just for our business, right? So we don't want to maintain, for example, operating system. We don't want to maintain, an SQL Server or something like that. But there are cases that there is no other way to, because some restrictions that we'll see in the next slides. Anyway, in the left side, of course, we can deploy an infrastructure as a service by using web farms, scale sets, and using SQL Server on VMs. In fact, we can deploy a SQL Server these days by paying the license per minute. So that is amazing. So and yeah, that's cool. So for example, if you have a small project just for Christmas, something like that, and you need a special, you don't have to buy a full license of a SQL Server. You just pay per hey, Will. How's it going? So you just pay for for the SQL Server per per minute. So what is a really cool thing. And of course you can deploy there more things like Redis cache. There is another a provider that is open source, that is also in GitHub, that allows you to use Redis as caching provider for DNN. So you can deploy in these ways and manage. Of course, as I told, this has this complication that is we would not like to start managing servers, start managing this maintaining the operating system, patching, and other stuff. So what Microsoft offers as platform as a service are different pieces, okay, from the Lego store. I call it Azure it's like a Lego store where you take pieces for building your own solutions. So you take a piece, the Lego piece that is the yellow one, that is our website. You took the SQL database, that is the blue one, the blue block, and also the Redis cache and some of them, and then you build your own solution. So that is how I see these PaaS solutions. Okay, so with that you can just concentrate in the application and data here at the at the top, and let Microsoft to manage everything else, like servlet patches on the operating system and that kind of things that you get out of the box without doing anything else. Of course, there are other Lego blocks like DNS management, application insights, Azure Active Directory, that are all integrated in the platform that you can also integrate with your DNN deployment. So, okay, so we have those infrastructure as a service, we have platform as a service. Which one should I use? Well, there are some pros and cons. For example, let's highlight some of them. In the case of virtual machines, okay, of course we have full control over the VMs. In the case of websites, we don't have virtual machine access. I have to say that, well, that is perhaps is an impediment in some cases where you are, you are normally, logging into the VM, you are usually takes some. I'm not sure, but you use, for example, Process Explorer from Sysinternals or C, to manage the or keep some aspects of performance. So, but I have to say that also Microsoft is doing a very good job on offering tools for for websites and also for SQL database, just to also to keep those things low, and allows you to, for example, to take whatever you need from from the environment in the websites. But well, of course, in virtual machines you have full more control. In virtual machines you have bigger VMs. So if we in website we have a small, medium, and large, so 3 sizes. And I have to say, a small one is 1 gig and almost 2 gigs. The medium is 3 gigs and half, and the large are 7 gigs. With virtual machines, you can go up to, I think that is the biggest VM in the cloud is 500 gigabytes or something like that of RAM. So you can go, as big as you want, right? Of course, you can also have more control about those VMs. For example, getting more IOPS. IOPS is something important in when serving content from the file system. So in that case, you can attach this like a solid disk, implement write Stripe for server, SQL Server, something like that. Something that is not available currently these days on websites. Okay. Of course, in virtual machines, it's more complex, okay, because you have to manage everything, and of course, it's perhaps the worst part is that do you have to pay more, okay, pay more in time, in your time, or especially for example, SQL DBA or something, that just to keep that up and running in the same way that Microsoft is doing with all the services. For example, I see a lot of value, okay, in SQL database because by default it's high available, okay? They are, for example, for every single database that you create on SQL Azure, there are 3 copies that are auto-replicated, okay? So inside the same data center. So if one goes down, it automatically changes to the other one. So, and that is totally transparent. You don't have to do anything. So I see a lot of value that if you try to implement that, by your own, the costs are very high. And there's another good point on on PaaS versus virtual machines. That is the SLA. Okay, so when you go professional and you offer websites to for business, that is something that you would like to keep in mind and offer to your customers. That is to offer an SLA. Okay, that is and in order to make an SLA in virtual machines, you have to deploy at least 2 VMs. Okay, per tier. So in the web tier, in the database tier, at least always 2 VMs, right? In fact, it's an advice. For example, instead of deploying 14 gigabytes VM, okay, it's better to deploy 2 7 gigs, VMs. So the half of the size, just to maintain that high availability. And also, to serve more requests, because of the surface of those VMs. In the case of websites, if you have one single instance, Microsoft, offers you a 99.9 SLA, and that is, that you can also offer to your customers. So then, first recommendation. Yeah. Question, Ryan? Yeah.
Yes, David. Just to clarify that point. So if you do only need the 1 VM and you are on the virtual machine side, you said that they suggest that you go ahead and duplicate it so that you have 2. But is there a lower SLA or a lower level that they're giving you if you do just have the 1, or it's no SLA at all?
There is no SLA at all. So Microsoft is very clear on that. So with one single VM, there is no SLA, and in fact you have to deploy them as in what they call an availability set, right? That means that if you put them inside that group in an availability set, what Microsoft do, for example, for patching, every month or monthly patching or something like that, it first patch one VM, turn off, and then patch the other. Okay, so that's the way that's the reason, because they need to to patch and apply patches to the host that is hosting those virtual machines. So because of that is the reason. Okay, so there's no other way to do it.
You should check with you.
So here then my first recommendation would be always to choose websites, because it's it's more it works. It's out of the box. You just put all the bits there and I start serving. And if doesn't fit, because we'll see some reasons. I mean, you need access to some component needs access to registry, or you need to install. I mean, something on the VM outside the NEN stuff. Then, okay, move to virtual machines. Okay, but I will say that PaaS is what you would like to do. And the reason is because platform as a service is continuously evolving. Okay, so you can notice that every week, mostly, every week, you get a lot of new improvements, new features on PaaS out of the box. So, for example, you can expect something like this. Okay, this is, for example, a SQL database. You start getting some emails and say, hey, we have detected by how your customers are using your website. We recommend this, to create this index on your database. And in fact, you can go and say, okay, turn on automatic index creation. So the next time on the system, we'll be creating this, this type of indexes automatically. Okay, so good thing. And of course, this is another thing that is, for example, if somebody tries to, to attack or something, doing SQL injections or things like that, you will start getting also information on all of this. Okay, so you can go and click and review that type of thing. So, I mean, there is a lot of value also in PaaS that doesn't come, in virtual machines, and you will need to spend more time and money if you want to do it this by yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
So of course you can go one way or another, or perhaps go a mixed model. That will be another way, right? So you could do, for example, I need to install. I would like to go to websites, but I need to install something on the VMs because I need a component for the web tier or something. Or because I want more disk IOPS, or because I want remote access for something. Okay, you can still use a SQL database. Okay, so that's of course an option, and a good option, by the way. And this will be more strange. Okay, but you could also use, for example, Azure websites using SQL server on VMs. The reasons, because you can, for example, I tried to imagine some of them. For example, you want to use SQL Server Express. I don't know, or just use that is perhaps more important. That is use reporting services or analysis services or something like that. That is not currently available on a SQL database. Okay. So talking about the SQL database, and just before jumping to the to the demo, I would like to all of you to understand how the SQL database performance works. So Microsoft invented a unit of measure, okay, that is the DTU. DTU is the data transfer unit. No, it's not data transfer unit. It's I'm not sure if this database. No. Well, I don't remember how the DTU. So, yeah, I need some help there for the DTU thing. So, it's a unit of measure, okay, that, it's like based on a benchmark, okay, is something based on the CPU, memory, and IOPS, okay. So, and based on a workload that they did some time back, okay, so they define what is one DTU, okay. So, say that they offer the current databases in different tiers that are in different different DTU sizes. Okay, so you can start from very small ones that are the basic one, that is 5 DTUs, that is $5 per month, and then go to the standard ones that are 10, 20, 50, 100 DTUs, and then go to the premium that in there is a big jump here also in pricing. and it's because also they're big with using, are more performing because they internally use SSDs, solid state disk, and more stuff. But well, these are premium databases and offer more premium features. Okay, so if I see this, well, where I'm going to start with DNN. Here is the database throughput unit. Thank you, thank you, Ryan. So I will recommend, not to use basic. Okay, I have tested that basic. Well, it works, but it works badly. Okay, so I will not recommend any way to use basic. So at minimum, I will recommend to use S0. And I have to say that with S0, the 90% of the database of the or 80% of the customer will work. If you go to S1, that is a double in performance. Okay, then the 99% of the customers, and then S2, and in some really strange cases that probably the people that if you see, for example, third-party models or things like that are not well programmed or something like that, you will need to use to S3. So this is an important thing. If you go to the cloud, if you go to Azure, I would recommend when building your own models and things like that to use and to test them and develop them by using SQL database, okay? Because I'm targeting this, this performance size, okay? So don't expect if you are a model vendor or something like that, that somebody is going to buy your model but your model needs an S3 to operate, okay? Of course, the running cost of that will kill your business. Okay, so say that. I think that I needed to to verify this just to start doing the demo now. Okay, so let me now. Where's my browser? Okay, here it is. Okay, here it is. Okay, so this is this is the Azure portal. I created yesterday. Something that is cool, that is to create a trial, a free trial. So with a free trial you get $200. Okay, so you can try this of course for free. And you can start spending so look at that. Well, I spent since a few days back that they created this about $7, okay, on creating all these resources, databases, and that stuff. So, well, to create that trial, you could just go to azure.com. And it's the green button that is everywhere. Just well, this is Spanish. Free account everywhere. So it's the green button that allows you to create a free account. So with that, it asks you for introducing credit cards, but don't worry, because the credit card will not be charged unless you enable that paying. Okay, so that will be consuming your credit that you have in the trial until you run out of credit. When you run out of credit, all the services will stop unless you then enable the paying of the credit card. Putting the credit card is just a security check that Microsoft uses just to avoid a lot of people just using bad use of the of the free resources. Yeah. So well, when you have here in the portal, you can customize here. This is like on Windows, I would say in Windows 10, Windows 8, like that you can customize these blocks. It's like the same thing. You can customize, and this is not, of course, the one that I presented here is not the default one. I just created some resources and I put the graph and things that I would like to see, so I can also share this board with all my colleagues or my co-workers. Okay, with sharing here and publishing this and giving permissions. And of course, I could do something like put in this way and put come on, hide, and then put here full screen and put this in in a TV or something, and use it as a knock or something like that. Okay, so well, say that what I'm going to just to create a new DNN platform installation is just to here and write DNN platform. Okay, and click enter. So you will see here that are okay, the DNN platform from DNN Corp, that is web mobile. This is the past on Azure websites. And interesting, there is another one that is from a third-party vendor that is running some virtual machines. I have to say that I haven't tried. I will take a look these days just to check it, how it works and that stuff. So but for the purpose of this demo, okay, what I'm going just to click on this one and click on create. So this is how now Azure works. It is going to deploy some resources by using a template. Okay, then the template in this case is a website plus an SQL Server plus a database. So all in just one step. Okay, will be when I click on here on create, we'll be creating all the resources in just one step, right? So for example, if I put here DNN Southern 3, okay, this is the this is the name of the website. I can of course then later use DNS or something just to change the public website that is given by default. I select my subscription. Then I choose a resource group. The resource group is like a container for grouping all the resources. That allows me to give permissions to other people, to access or manage or or see this resource when accessing the subscription. I can create a new one or just choose one from that I have created before. So for example, I have created here another resource group before. And of course I can now select, okay, this website, which size is going to be. I can, and this is interesting, and probably not, I'm not sure if everybody knows. So when you deploy here, you can create, of course, a new plan. The plan is in fact the web farm, okay, that is going to host your website. And you can select here from, okay, which location, which data center. We have today about 20 data centers, 2 new ones in UK. And well, if you live in China, you have also your own there in China that are not provided here. And then also select the pricing tier. You have different options. These are the most recommended ones. You can click here and view all of them. So you can start from free. That of course I will not recommend for DNN because is what offers 1 gig of storage, but also is limited in CPU time per day. So don't expect. I think that is you can run only for 4 hours, CPU time per day. So if you want to a website that is 7% available in memory, okay, this is not sweet and doesn't sweet. So you can start then from shared, but what I would recommend is to use or basic, okay, or standard. And if we see the difference, okay, between basic and standard, let me zoom in this, is about, for example, from basic, okay, you can scale up to, for example, 3 instances. Here in standard, you can set up auto-scaling. Auto-scaling depending on, for example, what work is coming to your website or CPU or things like that. Of course, there are more storage, up to 50 gigs, while this only has 10. And well, and the S1, S2, S3 depends, on the cores and RAM that you want to offer. And so what I normally do is just to select, for example, this one, a standard, and select this. And why I select a standard? Because it has more space. And with more space, what I can do is just to don't, every time that I create a website, is just to create a new web host, a new web farm. I can, for example, select one that has deployed with other websites and share that, the cost of all those instances, in Azure Web Apps. Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, for example, I have already created. So, I'm going to share this this web farm with other existing DNN instances. Of course, what I'm going to create is a SQL database to host this this website. Okay, so I need to create one, for example, DNN Software 3, and here another tip. Okay, I told you that at least you should start using S0 standard, and okay, it's selected by default. It's the default one. What I would recommend is during provisioning or upgrading, or doing resource-intensive operations on DNN, just go at least a minimum, for example, and to S2. Why? Because then those operations takes less time, and with if you have an installing something or upgrading, you don't offer the surface of to avoid web records coming to your website, you will get more success doing that task. Okay, so think that you can go to S2, install the website, and then immediately go to S0. So that will be the installation takes around 2 minutes, so you will be only paying for the S2 just for 10 minutes or something like that. That at the end is just cents, So that's another recommendation that I will say. Okay, I select this, and okay, I have to set as soon as I selected the previous created SQL server, I have to put the installer. I forgot the credentials. Okay, they are here. Okay, and put this thing. And finally, it offered me to also to automatically create the application insights resource. Okay, all in the same operation. So, well, I can now click on create. Okay, and this is start creating the process. And well, I'm going just to do it. And you can see here, this is now being created in the background. You can expect that this takes more or less 2 minutes. I think that less than 2 minutes. This allows me just to clarify just some things while we see this progress. We can see here and refresh how these order resources have been created. For example, the website has been already created. The database is now being created. It's being provisioned. So well, mostly what takes more time is just to copy, the file system. And currently, this template that is offered here in Azure, currently I saw that is offering an old version of DNN Platform. It's offering the 7.4 version. I'm working these days. Well, I was working after I noticed that this week. I'm working with Microsoft to update that to the latest version. Okay, and I will keep that. I will keep you posted on when that is updated. So you can also.
Will that replace, David, so that 8 is the only one available, or will it be 7.4 is available and marked that way, and 8 is available at that point?
No, they are currently offering only the last version, in Azure. So of course you can always go here and click on plus, and instead of deploying directly, DNN directly, you could choose this template that is web app plus SQL, okay, and then push your bits and and install the version you want. Okay. In fact, if the way that if you want to, for example, to move an on-premise installation that you already have, and if you want to to copy that to Azure, is the way to do it. Okay, so this is being created now. I'm not sure if that finished already. Well, let's take. Let me see. It's almost finishing. Anyway, well, I have already created. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, while we are having a second to pause on that, David and Clint, have you guys kept up with questions and things that are in the chat, or is that peanut gallery just going through? Anybody have any questions to pass to David at the second? All right, sounds like you're good, David.
Okay. Okay, so well, this is taking more time now, but well, it takes normally the 2 minutes. Okay, so well, in fact, well, when you have that installed, you can now browse the website, and what you can expect is having there the the installation, where you specify the host user, the host password, the template that you want to use, and also specifying the connection settings, the database connection settings. Let me try if that finished. So, but and I wanted to also okay, it's done now. Okay, so the deployment succeed. So if I go now to I should see the new resource here. That is this one, DNN Southern 3. And if I click now in the URL, that is this one, DNN Southern 3 Azure website.net. So this is now public. And it's now, of course, is spinning up the web application in memory by the first time, and where I can introduce and start the installation wizard. So one thing. Also, another thing that is I will try to to fix with Microsoft is that the SQL Server settings are not set here in the first step of the installation, are not set with the server settings that you created through the portal. You have to specify now here in the installation also the server name, the database name that you specify, and username name and password. So well, but it's something that we'll lift and we'll fix in. I hope to fix in next week. Well, anyway, so this well, of course, this is getting a little bit slow. Just to allow me to show the installation path. Well, anyway, so what I'm going to show now is the one here that has been already installed, and let me show you something here. So, of course, if I click this one, and that is okay, this is the one that is installed. This is Southern. I can log in. This is the the full installation. In fact, I did this a few days back, and I pushed the upgrade package and upgraded to the latest version, to 8.04. Okay, so it's this guy. So well, it's just the full vanilla installation. So just to show some settings here that I always do is go to application settings for the first time, and here it comes. This is a PaaS platform just to host not only DNN, it's also to host things like WordPress and things like that. Of course, I mean, we are not going to use PHP, so of course, I mean, just turn off PHP just to keep this as light as possible. By default, the platform also puts 32 bits. I always go here and manually change this to 64. I also put this in always on. That means that we put the don't allow the the site to go down from memory, so it's always up. So we don't have the the application restarts and that stuff.
So you're saying that it always on? You don't need a keep alive service to hit it regularly and keep it up?
No, it has its own. If you put this always on, it has its own. Sure. In fact, if you see here in the you see here this pam.
Yeah.
Are just this every some minutes just to ping in yep. Doing the request just to keeping that in memory, right?
Makes sense.
So okay, going back again here to application settings. So those are some ones. And by the way, that those ones are also I will talk with Microsoft to set that also by default. Other things that I always do is also to go here to the default documents and remove all the default HTML, IIS HTML, index HTML, and because the default is a PX, it's not the default one. It's just I mean it's the 6 or 7 I mean it's just a small, very small optimizations that at the end when you put all of them in as a wall will serves for the same purpose of this to have a faster website. Okay, so say that. Well, it is a website. I would like to highlight some interesting features here on websites. Of course, well, backups and that stuff is here, but custom domains, certificates. I would like to highlight this one. A scale up is just to remember is to change the plan from like from with this VM to bigger VM, things like that. But here in the scale out, you can also set up auto scaling. And here you can set up, for example, I can set up this manually, and instead of one instance, I want now, for example, 6 instances. Okay, boom, 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 and that in just in a few seconds. And I say seconds, it's less than a minute. You will have those 6 instances running, and this is because they are pre-provisioned, all those those servers. So it's really fast. Okay, so or you can also do something like, for example, a per CPU, and say, okay, if let's say that I would like to move always between 3 and 7 instances, and that I will increase one by one. You know, if for example during the last, during the 10 minutes or 5 minutes, the CPU goes, up for above 80%. So then we'll add one, and also of course send me an email to notify me. Or you can go more crazy, okay, and say, okay, let me define all the rules myself and say, oh, I want, for example, a scale this way, or by recurrence, or just, by a fixed date. For example, imagine that I know that I'm going to launch something, next week or something like that. So I could specify those dates and specify, hey, I want for just that week, I want 3 instances or something like that. You can automate all this stuff very easily. And you can also specify the up rules and also the the down rules, and depend on also automatically based on perhaps on not only CPU but also for the HTTP queue length or the memory percentage that is being consumed. So there are different parameters for that. There is another good that thing. There is the data out. So if the data you are serving a lot of data, that means that you have a lot of traffic as well, right? So for example, just to give you an idea, there is another interesting thing that is here in the development tools. That is the performance test. So this, when you click here, click create and add a new performance test. That is now okay. If you click here on new one, it says, okay, this is a manual test, for example, that is just by hitting the an URL on the site. Okay, I could do a more complicated test by implementing some in Visual Studio building a web test project and then uploading here the project file with a more complicated thing. And I can simulate from here, for example, 250 users during 5 minutes, things like that. So this, in fact, what it creates is with Visual Studio Team System, Team Services, it creates that load test and execute that load test to your website. And if you can see here, I did this as example. For example, running during 5 minutes with only one instance, one small instance, I was able to serve 100,000 web requests, but was taking 300 seconds in average. That's because I needed there were too many for just one instance. So what I did was then later to increase and scale out to 3 instances. So and repeat the test. So I was being able now to serve almost 300,000 web requests, and with 1 second in average per web request, per web request. So that means that it's like showing how your your website is performing, and allows you to do with that tool. Other interesting ones that, before jumping again back to the slides, is that of course you have here, where's the console? Here it is. You have a console. You can that means that you can click here and say, okay, show me all the files. So you can see, copy and run normal zip and zip things like that here from the console, and that you can do things more advanced when you access this to these advanced tools. The advanced tools, and this is another tip. If you notice the URL of the kudu, okay, is the same name of your website, but with this in the middle. Okay. With that, you access like a backend, okay, that allows you to to see a lot of like, for example, the environment variables, the app settings, or webhooks, or including you could, for example, I used some utilities here, like opening a CMD session or a PowerShell session, and allows you to, for example, to drag and drop files, and upload files to this location here. So you can, for example, in fact, I think that should be, okay, this is what I did yesterday. Okay, I dropped here the upgrade package, and then, okay, yes, I did an unzip, okay, the package into the W root just to run the upgrade, okay. It's just, you know, was really easy to do. For example, just to take a quick backup here of the files, I just, you know, did a copy from this W root to the W2, or just a zip file of the full file system. So just is, you know, you can operate this thing in that way. The process explorer, you could kill your, you know, the process or that is here. Take memory dumps in advanced mode and have here mode of advanced tools. Finally, there is one, okay, in the site extensions, okay, that you can add more things to your, you know, to your site. And it's one that is installed by default. That is they changed the name. The name was Monaco. That is the Visual Studio online editor that is behind your website. So you can go here, and you see here that is your file system. Of course, you can also create folders. You can also upload files from here or download or whatever. I can, for example, go to the default SPX. Where is the default SPX here? Okay, this is a website, and yes?
Yeah, I was saying.
And that's in the, you know, here. Should be in some way. I think that it's behind the. Let me log out.
Yeah.
Behind the, here it is. Okay, it's at the very top. Okay, if I remove that back from here, okay, and it's now deleted and now it's safe. Okay, as you can see, I'm editing just directly. Okay, this. So with that, okay, I think there are really interesting tools just to, you know, to keep your, you know, your confidence on your what you can do and manage here. And finally, we have seen the file system, but what happens with the database? Okay, so if you go here to the database, I can see that. Where's the database? Okay, this is the database that is serving this website. So the first thing that I would like, for example, to do is, well, I can see how it's performing, the DTUs. As you can see, with S0, is, you know, the resource consumption is almost 0. And you would like to do something like opening the firewall just to allow you to connect from your on-premise, you know, to Azure directly. So you do that by going to the server and create here a firewall rule. I have already opened one that is David Home here. This is my public IP address. That changed from time to time, but okay, it hasn't changed since yesterday. So what I can do now is opening here, you know, the SQL Server Management Studio, and just to connect to, you know, to the server like any other server, and just refresh and, you know, refresh. Probably I have now the database 3 here, and exactly this is the one that I created just in a few minutes back. And I can run, you know, and this is currently, I think that is 8,000 miles away from home, from my home now. Yeah. And as you can see, it's you know, it's you know, I can do, you know, anything here and access the, you know, it's refreshing this very well, you know. So
David, we have
yes?
a couple of questions. Let me interrupt for just a second. There was one question or point earlier, especially when you were talking about the rules for scaling up and down, and then you were also talking about some of the testing and monitoring. Will and some of the other folks were basically talking about the fact that you could have improperly made rules that would then have you scaling up or scaling down at the wrong times. Is that correct? And then two, if it goes down, because it does or can go down, does it monitor and it's letting you know? Are there monitoring services that are better to use than others? That down and being down is a problem that can occur, right?
Well, when I say scale down, well, when I say scale, I mean, it's to reduce instances. So I'm not sure if I understood the question.
Yeah, I might have put two together there because there was one that was talking about the scaling rules and that you could have it scaling up or scaling down at the wrong times. That was one part of it. But then the second part was all of Azure for your site being down. Is there monitoring that's going to help alert you that it's just plain down?
Okay, so you say if there are some, so if the monitor, so is well, let me try to answer both questions. So if I understood well, so the first one is about scaling up and down and scaling out and in. That is different. Okay, so scaling. So let me go here. Click. Where's the scaling? Yeah, here it is. Okay, so we have a scale up and down. Okay, up and down is vertical scaling. That means vertical scaling is taking the, a VM, okay, or the resource, and put more resources. Okay, so if I have, for example, this size, I want to use bigger VMs, okay, with more RAMs or more cores or things like that. That is vertical scaling. So you can go up and down. And scaling up and down is not automatically. Okay, you cannot schedule things like that. So you can only schedule the scale out or in. That is horizontal scaling. That is to put, repeat, more or add or remove, more or less instances depending on the rules that you create. Okay. So the second question is was about monitoring. What happens if you are monitoring itself with Azure and Azure goes down, or it's not answering well? I'm not sure if that
I guess it's more specific about sites being down or the application being down.
Yeah. So what I would recommend is not only to use, and it's how I do it in DNN, is not only to use one monitoring tool. So you can, for example, for availability, we have been using Pingdom, we have been using Status Cake, and of course we have application insights here. You can, and we have also used New Relic. So we have been using those four during the last years with very good success with the four of them. So I will totally recommend at least those ones that are the ones that I know. So of course there are more other tools, but those ones I know that works really well. Okay. So and of course have also two monitoring tools, because that will give you okay, who investigate the police. It's like your internal police that you need to separate confirmations. Yeah. So because of that, you can also have a false positive from one tool that you would like to confirm with the other tool. So that is a good practice as well.
All right.
So
yeah. One more question from the Grant.
David, I would notice that you had like a firewall setting on the SQL Server database.
Mm-hmm.
Does that apply to the DNN instances? And is there a way to turn that off?
So the firewall rules here is just to allow access to the databases to the SQL Server. So there are two different types of firewall rules. So there are several level firewall rules that applies to all, to access to all the databases. Of course, then you will need to the credentials. And there are also a separate database level firewall rules. I think that, by the way, I think that I was talking today with David. I will try to, because I have that link here just in, where it is this, just this link. Okay. So there are several level and database firewall rules. I will copy this on the chat.
Hey,
So
David, it worked perfectly. I just did it. But the key to it is you have to put in the initial catalog in SSMS to get it to work.
Oh, you mean that? Oh, you mean that after specifying the firewall rule? Of course, if you put a database rule, you have to go here, and when connecting, you have to go, of course, and specify the database you are going to connect, because you don't have access to the master database. Oh, that's true.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
It worked. Thank you.
Yeah. So then you can do things like from here, right-click for example, do export a backpack and take a backup from from the site. Okay, here in task and export data here and take a backpack from the website, from the Azure website. Okay, so I think that going back now to the yeah. Well, no, last one thing I want to show is the this thing here, this guy in the bottom. That is this guy. Okay. If you see here, there is one active recommendation. So this comes from where? So I put that at the bottom, on the desktop. It comes from the database level. I told you there are some recommendations that come from time to time. That is this one, and it's saying, well, in this case it's interesting because it's saying that, okay, you perhaps you would like to drop this index because it's consuming space and it's not being used. So, and it happens, after using your website from time to time. So, well, I'm not worried normally about space, so I don't normally drop any index, normally, unless something is very clear. But what I go normally here is go to auto-tuning here and set up the create index automatically. So, for example, if you install a third-party vendor, a module or something, well, what I mean is that normally I have seen that the core, the core indexes are very well. It's strange to see something here from, any index from any recommendation from the vanilla installation. Perhaps I have seen some of them for the file for the files, tables, but I normally see from third-party, models a lot of, suggestions of creating new indexes here. So you can set up the automatic creation for them, also notify to the third-party vendor, so you can learn a lot of, from this tool. Okay, so I'm going back again to here, just to show you one thing. Okay, I have deployed the website here on Azure. But of course, I would like to know and be notified if it is performing well or badly, or or things like that. So you can have, you can use different tools for this. I mean, there are tools like Pindom and Statuscake are tools just for availability. Well, they are getting better and are offering more things, but it's not something like this inside, the application, looking all the stack, doing, how each line of code is performing and things like that. I have seen that is doing, for example, application insights and New Relic are, two tools that are doing that stuff. So, well, I created some time back, I think at the beginning of the year, an open source model that is available there on GitHub that allows you an extension that allows you to, to install on your DNN installation, and then allows you to send information to the application insights and starting to get telemetry. And which telemetry? Okay, so DNN usage like page views, web requests, and things more specific from DNN. That is, for example, the event log. So instead of having to visit the the admin event viewer, you can go directly here to application insights and see all those data in the event viewer. Of course, the log4net, so you don't have to go and then go to a file system, open the log4net and the stuff. You can go here to the I will show you in a second, the application insights, and go and using a data warehouse automatically that is that offers the application insights. You can do a lot of very complex queries, on all those logs. Of course, get exceptions, creating rules for getting alerted in some cases. And at the end, check how your site is performing. So, and here some after you enable this, there are also some magic, some machine learning also helping to detect things like this. So, for example, this also is on the let me remember which one was. Okay, so this it says, hey, I saw that you got a normal rise, in your application. So you normally have this, you fail this way, normally at 6%. So, but seems that between this time, okay, during these 20 minutes, you know, you have a 78%. So something is wrong here. You would like to check what is happening. And of course, what I saw in this case was that somebody was trying to attack, you know, my website. That was another example. And the response code was, you know, forbidden. This allowed me to, you know, to check from which IP address was came in, and doing, you know, adding some, you know, blocking some those requests and things like that. Because from here I can also directly click and see that report. Here another example, and this is also interesting, is a similar one. Okay, you normally have this percentage, but between these hours you got this other percentage, and this time was a 500 error. Okay, I'll say, hey, what happened here? And that gave me some clues here, like okay, was a bot indexing the website, and in this case, if you see here at the bottom, okay, that was in fact was an error. Okay, in the you know, in the core platform, in the advanced URL writer, that this allow us to, you know, to also to notify and, you know, do a pull request on that piece and fix it. So this allows also to, you know, to keep fixing and, you know, this free of errors your website. If you, I'm going just to show now in a few minutes this thing, you know, the application insights. But if you I think that is, well, I think no, this was one of the sessions that I shared on the DNN Connect, and I was lucky because it was recorded and it's available on channel 9. Here is the link. I think that well, I will try to share. We'll share the slides and also the link here, but it's also a link from the DNN Connect website. So there's a full session that they talk about this, so with more deep detail. What I'm going just to show here is that, for example, in this website, I'm just going to log in, and it was the password, yes. So here in the, well, of course, I downloaded the module from GitHub, okay, and I installed it as an extension. So after installing, you get this, you know, a new thing here, and it's very simple. You just click on enable, and I'll ask you for an instrumentation key. That instrumentation key is available here in the application insights resource, okay, that was created during the provisioning process. So it's in the essentials, you know, in the essentials tab. Okay, is this instrumentation key? So you just go here, select, click here and copy, and you go there and paste and apply the changes. With that, you start receiving all the information here in Azure. So which type of information? So as you can see, okay, how it's performing, how are the page views are working, the server request, the file request. For example, if I click here on the file request, I can go deeper and see, okay, let's see what happened. Okay, so was one to the default SPX, one to the image handler. In fact, I think that I saw that image handler previously in my icon. Well, anyway, so for example, I can see that, okay, this request was 404. I can go to the detail of this thing and see from where it was coming, which was the URL, all the details so that are here, okay? Like, for example, from, you know, this came from the United States, from this city, you know, it's a lot of information here, okay? And also, for example, when this happened, okay, there was more telemetry for this operation. Like, for example, I mean, you can see all the related telemetries that, you know, tracing and custom events that were recorded. For example, these ones, the custom events, are the ones that are recorded into the DNN event log. That was interesting. Second one, imagine this. For example, go here and click on, where it is, on search. And search here and see, for example, so who knows, for example, when your website was restarted last time. So if you go here, well, you normally do that by going to the event viewer and try to, you know, trying to search that event, right? So if you go here and type application, of course with 2 P's. Okay, I can see that. Okay, you see the latest, these are the events that are being recorded in the event viewer, okay? So you can now know that my last application start was from, in fact, from this morning, from yesterday. Well, I'm already tomorrow. I'm already on Friday. I'm from the Canaries. So yeah. So this was, and that is how I'm showing you that the site has been also up without doing, anything else, just by clicking on the always on thing. Other thing is, for example, what about the logins? If I click here in the login, you know that, for example, when super user logins or something, is also recorded. So okay. So look at that, just a few minutes ago, and David J just logged in. So I have all the information that I have on the website. Also, like log4net and that stuff is here. And more advanced queries when you click here on analytics. And this is mind-blowing because puts all the information like in a data warehouse with all the tracing, with all the custom events, with all the dimensions, with all the page view, all the, give you, for example, and you can then use, for example, and build queries like this stuff, by using the data, and then start, by using piping, where and summarizing and rendering in a bar chart, and this allows you to an explosion of digging into your logs and how your site is performing, consume that and those queries from Power BI or Excel directly. So I think that there's a lot of things about that, and I would recommend also to check that on the session. So just to end, and probably for more sessions ahead, there are other resources. For example, I also built a DNN-Azure Active Directory provider, just to also if you want to to use Azure Active Directory authentication. Also Redis caching provider, and this also a good blog post here that was from another session from the DNN Connect, from advanced tips and tricks, a session that was hosted by James Roswell. So that was really cool as well. So I think that with that I am in time, I think.
Yeah, fantastic timing. We have had a good set of volleys of chat in the chat room. Let me check in on questions there at the same time in the house here. Do you have any other questions, anybody? Here at the table, I don't know, semi-serious or otherwise, but I think a good question. Just talking about Azure in general as a place to take this level of sites for scalability and management. The question was asked, how is this and where is this better than GoDaddy and one-in-one and other types of monster large systems that are sometimes overly restrictive in what you can do and how you access it. You want to take a little shot at that for a second, Michael?
Oh, you can go there, yeah. But you got to remember how this goes. Like the question you said about like how do you handle if you improperly
provision?
Yeah. No, you go in there, you change it. It's on the fly. Once you hit save, if you have if you have too many instances, it'll drop down because it's going to go within what you're telling it to do. Mm-hmm. That's on the fly. As far as remember how Azure works, it's like for instance, if you want to remember this is pay as you go stuff. And that's what it means that you pay as you go. You only use what resources you plan to utilize at that period of time. Say a VM, a SQL VM, you can pop up in less than 2 minutes, like you said, fully loaded, ready to go. But do remember something, once that VM is up, you start paying. Because it's now use space is now running, processing, everything like that. So I never used any of GoDaddy's, anything like that. I just know from when I'm dealing with Azure, as far as we give you probably a lot more application. You guys are like for WordPress. Things that we have, you go out there into the actual store, they got SAP, we can give you any platform in Linux, anything from which you could possibly imagine and some customized things. So you have, like you said, when you put a DNN one out there, that's a customized solution. Somebody.
Yeah.
So also we allow you to say, I have an application, I want to utilize the application amongst multiple tenants and things like that, or use Active Directory behind it to store my user information. Therefore, to do like single sign-on from like ADFS, where you have foreign different accounts,
right?
Google account, things like that. We give you that too. Those are things you can automatically add within your system just by literally modifying a few things, and guess what? Now you have it. So you don't have to keep a database of users. It'll just be stored in like our Azure Active Directory. Things like I said, we offer a lot of services and a lot more things that are coming down the pipe that probably a lot of them don't offer like that.
How about when you need an expert in Azure? I currently use manage.com. I'm not an Azure expert. I'm kind of becoming one, but when you get stuck, how hard is it to get support?
I know I shouldn't be. Azure support right now is you buy, like when you buy like an Azure subscription, support is right now pretty much wide open free for most technologies in Azure. And I mean, depending on how you specify it, if you specify a server down or a critical situation, our response time is an hour. You're going to get somebody to call. If you figure it's like a SASB that it's not critical like server down, but you know, I mean, right now Microsoft's goal is to resolve any Azure situation within 24 hours. The majority of our issues are resolved within 24 hours. That means, and it's follow the sun type support. It means that if it's into my shift, then it rolls up to somebody else to help you. But right now, a lot of our support is free. Once you buy the Azure subscription, there's a page out there that tells you the different Azure subscriptions you get for if you want a developer, if you don't really want developer support, and they'll tell you. Like I said, it's all you do. You just go into the portal, you say support, create a case, and you specify where it's got to go, what the issue has. Boom, it goes right into the internal support system, and according to what you specify, you'll get a call on it.
Okay.
David Poindexter, I know you were reaching out to David Rodriguez earlier today to ask for support and questions and ideas. I think that
unofficially, yeah.
I think that a good idea for a further session would be that tips and tricks, and coming back for a second round of this, especially after people have time to absorb and bring up more questions. Do we have any more questions in house or in the chat line for David?
Yeah, Will wants to know if you can integrate front page. He just upgraded from Netscape Composer, so he wants to know if that's.
Bet there are some
Look over here. That's your best way. You fire me in, you can put whatever else you want on it. That's your job. Then once you get in, you can put whatever you want on it.
Well, folks, we've had a great session tonight. Thank you very much, David, for connecting with us and for speaking tonight. This is your first time with us, but it won't be your last. As long as you keep answering the phone and saying hello when we call, I promise we will reach back to you repetitively so we can tap that information and get some more good training like this coming our way.
Okay.
Thank you very much, David.
I forgot to put here the link of my Twitter. I think that is on the meetup. So if somebody needs to, just ping me on there and I can answer whatever thing. Okay.
Oh, be careful what you ask for or what you offer. Yeah. What you offer.
Well, I will try. to answer everything.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much, David. Again, we clapped a second ago, but
thank you.
Topical from everybody in the room. All right. What we'll do now, Joe Brinkman, do you want us to switch to your screen so that you're presenter? I'm not sure if he's muted.
Yes,
sir.
There we go. All right. So next in this meeting, we're going to pass over to Joe Brinkman. He asked earlier last week if he could have a few minutes of some airtime to make an announcement. So without any further ado, let's pass over to the renowned Joe Brinkman.
So we have been working on a project for a while, and we finally gotten sign off and go ahead on the project, and just thought it was something that people here would be interested in, and that is what we're doing for DNN-9. And I know people are like, well, we just had DNN-8 earlier this year, but we're already going to move ahead with DNN-9, and there's some good reasons for that. And I'll run through these slides fairly quickly. This only took us an hour to go through earlier today with the MVPs, but we'll cut it down, make it a little bit shorter. So effectively, where we've been going for a while now is really trying to reconstruct DNN to remove our reliance on web forms and make it possible for developers to use much more modern development frameworks when building for DNN, while at the same time protecting our existing investments and making it possible for people to easily upgrade from one version to another. All of those are very important to us for moving forward. DNN-9 really represents the next step for us down this path. DNN-8 introduced MVC and SPA and did some isolation around Tenerife. And with DNN-9, we're effectively rewriting the entire admin UI to be SPA-based and to remove or minimize the use of Tenerife in the platform. And so the key part of that is the persona bar. Now, if anyone's ever used the Evoke products, you've seen the persona bar. It's basically the administrative experience for certain personas in our Evoke products, and we're actually going to be moving that down into the platform. And this is all done using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Web API. There's no web forms whatsoever in this part of the framework, and that's really important to understand because it means that we can use much more modern tooling, much lighter weight development, and a much faster and richer user experience for the admin side of the house. The thing with Evoke, when we built out the persona bar before, was the personas that we exposed didn't include admin personas, didn't include administrator or host. So all of these features that were in the platform were not available in the persona bar. So in DNN-9, so this is an example. So we had this dichotomy or this divergence between some of the experiences that were available in Evoke and those that were available in platform. So if you look at page management, it was a much more modern experience in Evoke and very much a pretty basic cut and dried approach in platform and not very modern from a UI perspective or design perspective. So in the persona bar, some of the things that we want in that experience is we want a single experience, a single user experience, whether you're using our DNN platform or you're using one of the commercial products. We want all the admin and host functionality to be based on HTML, JavaScript, and CSS and no longer be based on web forms. We don't want admin and host functionality to be using Tenerife. We want a much lighter weight experience. We want an experience that is responsive. We want to be able to eliminate a large chunk of our bug debt, which is primarily around admin and host functionality. Now, not all of that will go away. There's some of that that's still back-end bug debt out of that 35%, but a lot of this will be removed in the process of converting the admin UI. And we'll also reduce memory footprint and on-disk footprint, so all really good benefits to completely redoing the admin UI in JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. If we look at the memory usage, if you just look at the host area there, there's quite a bit of difference between having the admin bits turned on and not loading the admin bits in terms of memory usage. And the same, we see that in the vote content as well. And if you log into any DNN site, just logging in, you pay some penalty in memory usage. But the minute you go to an admin page, you start seeing that memory footprint increase. And a lot of that will go away with the HTML and JavaScript approach that we're using in the persona bar. So how big is the change that we're doing for DNN9? There are approximately 20 modules that make up the admin and host experience today. And of those 20 modules, that represents about 150 different UI screens that we have to rebuild. That also means that we're going to rebuild them to be responsive, to be dynamic, in that not only do we want to be able to add and remove things into the persona bar, but we want third parties to be able to plug in and extend the persona bar as well. We also have to build out developer documentation and examples and style guides, and basically move over all of the host and admin experience. This is not something where we can move piecemeal bits and pieces over. So DNN9, you can just imagine rewriting 20 module UIs, 150 different UI screens. That's not a trivial exercise. But it is something that we've already started on, and it is something that I think the community is going to appreciate, and it's something we've been wanting to do for a long time. So what is that? So how does that start to play out? So everything gets loaded dynamically. They'll be similar to package or extensions that we have today. They'll have a manifest. There will be APIs available. There are some things that we're going to be able to deliver in 9.0. Others, like auto upgrade capabilities, public and private packages available through galleries. Some of those will be much more longer term. And there will even be the ability to call microservice APIs and do some other stuff there. So I know I'm running through all of this fairly quickly, just so we don't, again, I could take an hour talking through all of this stuff. So let's look at what that experience looks like a little bit. So this is the new, and these are all mock-ups, so some of this may change a little bit and likely will change a little bit before we get to the final designs. But we'll start with the persona bar on the left-hand side. It's a very simple look, minimalistic look for the persona bar. Again, trying to keep everything lightweight. As you go into the persona bar, you'll be able to call up certain screens, and they effectively just fly out over the top of your page and give you access, whether it's to the site information or other pages that currently live on the host and admin menu. The other thing to note about this is not only does it fly out, but you can also close that at any point to get back to the page you were working on. And you can shift back and forth between these two. And you can think of it almost as two applications sharing the same page. So instead of keeping two browser windows open, which is what you typically do in many other many other CMSs, instead we sort of combine them into a single browser window and just let you bring the persona bar content or the admin experience out into the page you're editing, and then hide it when you're ready to go back to working directly on the page that you're on. Some of the other experience, so you can see sort of the fly out menu effect, and again, we're still working on some of these screens and some of the IA, but most of it is there in terms of understanding what's being built. But you can see a couple of examples of, like, this is a user management screen, very similar to what's in Evoke today, with a few additional pieces that don't exist in Evoke yet. Also things like the task scheduler. So a lot of these screens have similar functionality to what's available today in platform and the admin and host, but with a much more modern UI and a much more lightweight feel, which gives us much more responsiveness and a much cleaner look to the overall product. So these are just a few of the different screens. There are some things where we're completely changing IA, so security is a great example of that, where we had different security controls and different security settings spread throughout, you know, site settings and host settings and user areas, and so there were all kinds of different places where security settings were located, and we're now going to pull all of those together in one location. So in some cases, it's not just a matter of taking a module, converting it over to the new format. In some cases, it's a matter of pulling screens apart and moving bits into a new IA that makes a lot more sense rather than what's been built up over 10 years and things getting shoehorned in and not always shoehorned in the right place. So, so that gives you a sense. The other part of this, as we've been building this out, is we've also been building out a design guide as well. Now, this is all currently just internal to the design, or these design guides are all internal. They'll ultimately be cleaned up and moved to a public community design guide for the persona bar and the admin experience, which includes things like large buttons, small buttons, color palettes, text fields, spacing, and what is required field. So one of the things that we're trying to do in this process as we build out the persona bar and the admin experience is that whole experience lives inside of an iframe. So everything you saw there, as that flies out across the page, everything in the persona bar is in an iframe, which means that we can prevent the CSS used in the admin experience from leaking in and impacting skins and modules and other things that are going on in the regular page, and we can have our own design and look to the admin experience that is consistent from site to site, and that is consistent when you read the documentation and read the user manuals, that it still looks the same way when you actually go to a live site regardless of the site. One of the things we're very cognizant of is over the last 13 years that we have had a very fragmented design style as we're trying to shoehorn in admin experiences in and keep them from conflicting with skins. It's often made things very challenging for our design community. So we want to solve that here and keep the admin experience completely separate and isolated. So there's just a couple more. So I think, and one of the things to notice here as well is that not only are we talking about design guides, but along with this there will be, or there are actually already, a number of components that we've already built out and that will be available for anyone who wants to build administrative experiences to be hosted inside the persona bar. So they'll be able to reuse all of those components that we've already built. So how we're building this, traditionally we've used tools like Knockout and jQuery, and while those will still be available in the persona bar, we're actually building this new persona bar using React and Redux and using typical JavaScript tool chain, so Webpack, Babel, ECMA, ECMAScript 6, NPM, all of those tools for helping us compile each of the modules that lives, or each of the components that lives within that persona bar, compile them down for reuse and deployment within the persona bar. You can actually install or uninstall each of those components, each of those pages, if you will, within the persona bar independently, so others can install new things, or you could hide or uninstall things that are not necessary in your installation. So anyway, that's the announcement we have today. We'll be putting out more information on this. We're still a couple of days away from opening up the Persona Bar code on Codeplex. It is, or not Codeplex, on GitHub. Yes, so it is a project of its own on GitHub, i.e. it is it's not part of the main DNN platform project. It is a separate project. We'll be opening that up here in the next couple of days. We're just in the process of trying to remove a lot of dependencies and references and things to evoke because this was code that originally started in our commercial product that we are bringing that framework for that Persona Bar down to the platform. So there's just some stuff that we had to remove out of there to make that all work. So we should be removing that or making that available to the community here in the next couple of days, and then in the next week or so you'll see that start showing up in the nightly builds for DNN Platform. So with that, any questions?
I've kept track of a few. One that I wondered about is I saw some different terms being thrown about. You mentioned packages in text a couple of times. Extensions, modules, are we heading towards, in DNN9, some other changes in terminology? Just like we've left skins behind and we're now all saying themes, are there some more things like that are going to occur?
Yes and no. So we're not going to change the terminology that we currently use. So we have a concept of modules today. We have a concept of packages today. We have things we call generically extensions. There are extensions that are specific to the Persona Bar, the ability to add for example, let me go back. Right, so this security settings area is a single extension within the Persona Bar. We don't have a term for this yet, so we're just trying to make sure we don't confuse people by calling this a module. Technically, it is a JavaScript module in the ECMAScript sense. But it's not a DNN module in the DNN sense. You couldn't drop this on a web page, for example, or on a DNN page, for example. It's not that kind of a module. So we're still looking for the terms for these so that it's not confusing to people, but we're not renaming things that already exist.
Other folks, questions? Coming in from the group? Obviously, it's early days, and you're talking about the path, the road to future here. But you have ideas and projections for timeline for DNN-9 being released.
Yes. So we expect to release. Right? We expect to release DNN-9 in Q4. So we don't have an exact date on that yet. Probably November, December timeframe. Will not be December 24th, but we don't think it's going to be that far out. We've been working on this for a couple of months already, and we have a couple of years of experience of building out the Persona Bar. So this is not a complete unknown. There's still some areas we're speccing out, which is why we don't have an exact date yet. But it's looking like end of November, beginning of December-ish time frame.
Awesome. Yeah, that shows my disconnection from some of the back-end channels there. When I was saying January, I was thinking that was an impossibility. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, we've been putting a lot of effort behind this, and it's ramping up. We're getting more and more people on this project. You know, and so you can already see just from the design guides, from the screens that we've got designed out. So there are some of these screens that are actually like the SQL console, and there are a few others, a task scheduler, users. These are all screens that I think these functionalities are either done or substantially done today. So there are others. Security I don't think is there yet, but there's probably 8 screens that are done, you know, or eight areas that are done or substantially done, and you know, another dozen or 15 or so to be completed.
Another question was, what happened to DCC?
So DCC is on the back burner right now. We don't have any plans to revive it. We're looking at, so anyone who's been following what's been going on with Evoke knows that in Evoke 8.5, for our engaged customers, we launched a product called structured content, which was similar to some of the concepts that we had in DCC, but it was launched as a microservice, meaning that it runs in the cloud, and you can build dynamic content types, build visualizers for those content types, and edit all of that content. It's integrated into the persona bar. Well, I don't say integrated. It is loaded through the persona bar today, and allows you to build stuff out. And in fact, many of the areas we've been working on DNN software are using the structured content. Longer term, we still have some work to be done on structured content to really make it as robust as we want it to be. So we expect a lot of that work will be done for Evoke 9, which will be launching at the same time as DNN 9. And then longer term, we are looking at how to make that available for platform, as well as for potentially other customers as well. So it could be, you could see structured content being made available to SharePoint, or to people who are just building standard ASPX-based websites, or .NET Core-based websites, or WordPress sites, or Drupal sites. It's ultimately a SaaS delivery of structured content, and longer term, we think that SaaS delivery of features provides a lot of benefits. We're still looking at how we can do that, and make those features broadly available to the market, and likely delivered using a freemium model of some sort. We don't know the broader outlines of that yet. That's just sort of early thinking about where we're at. So with that, you know, we're not looking at doing anything on DCC today.
How about other questions coming in from the group? Are we ready to let Joe loose for the moment? David, we have any other questions? All right.
Oh, there was a question about the code maybe being accessible for DCC on GitHub so that the community can contribute.
So Joe,
the code has been available on GitHub all along. So
for DCC?
For DCC, it was there last year. All of that was done in the public repository. So you could go back to one of the beta tags and pull it out into a separate project. DCC being merged into the core, probably not. Realistically, Clint, it was never built as separate as a separate standalone. Well, they were separate projects, so theoretically you should be able to separate those out from the solution, build a new GitHub repository for those, and finish up the last bit of work that was needed for those to really be production ready. But no, it's not ready to install and start using today. But
it sounds like that's the recipe. We'll have to have a whole nother session on getting the community to get involved and do that and modularize the thing.
Yeah, ultimately I think, that if that's something the community wants to do, obviously I'm not going to stand in the way of people building an open source project around that. Again, it is open source code, so, but, realistically, there are structured content options available in platform today. It would be nice for it to be built in, but the reality is we just don't have the bandwidth to do that, and I'm not sure, that we're going to go down that path.
Well, Joe, thanks for spending this time to share with us a bunch of new visuals and new information here regarding DNN 9. I don't think that in the larger community, folks knew this was on radar and so close. So it's great to have this as an announcement and to be able to see a test, sneak peek of some of these screens and some of the ways things are coming together. Sounds like you've got a lot of work that you have planned ahead through the end of the year, so we'll look forward to maybe catching up with you again in November and seeing how things are going. Yep.
Sounds good, Dave.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Joe, for stepping in and sharing the let's go ahead, David, and switch back over screens. Not that I have anything specific to bring up, other than specifically, hello. Other than specifically. Checking in with kind of the end of this meeting here. Like to thank again, of course, Joe Brinkman for spending time with us, and then David Rodriguez for his presentation. Stepping backwards through the events, though, we want to remind everybody to register for DNN Summit if you haven't already, and if you're interested in speaking or have something you want to share, please try and put submissions in tonight. Put them in tomorrow. Shoot, if the link's still up, put them in on Saturday, but the deadline for getting those in is tomorrow sometime. David, tonight our sponsor was JetBrains. JetBrains. Let's hear what we have as some prizes and giveaways from our friends there.
And everybody online, please stay online because you're also entered into the drawing.
Absolutely, we have tickets already written out for the 11 attendees and folks that are still online at the moment. So if you do win one of these, make sure you stay around so that we can pass you information and get your information if your ticket number is drawn.
Yeah, so tonight they'll be giving away a 1-year subscription to any of the JetBrains products of your choice. And so if you already have one, maybe you need another one. So well, one of the more popular ones in the Visual Studio world, I believe, is the ReSharper. So most of you are probably familiar with that, but they do have some other standalone IDEs and things that are pretty good as well, WebStorm and things like that. And for you PHP lovers, they even have something for that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we got some of those stickers earlier, though. Like you want to. They sat on the desk, and
we'll do the drawing here. John, yours is going to be a little problem here. Okay, so you online will not know, but let's see. We've got the last 3 digits of 038, and that is an online. Joe Brinkman.
Joe Brinkman, you get your choice of a JetBrains subscription for a year. Oh, yeah. As a thank you for participating and staying on with us tonight. So stay online so we can get your information, and we'll pass it to David. Yeah.
I'll send it to you in an email, Joe, and I'll tell you in Skype that I mailed so you'll actually check it.
Thanks.
Main thing to remember there is that you got to get the link and the well, not an activation code, but it's a.
There's a coupon that.
Tell about the time period, though.
Oh yeah, yeah. What was it? What? 2 months from the date that we received the email, and unfortunately, we received the emails from them like a week after this meeting. So you've already lost about a month. So make sure you do it in around the couple month mark.
Yeah, within a few weeks, you got to go ahead and choose what you want. It can't expire.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. That concludes our session tonight. Our next session then is October the 20th. Again, that is going to be the third Thursday of the month, as it is always, and we will announce before we get there who we have on tap to speak. We'll try and get a little bit more of an in-depth update from DNN Summit, see if we can hear some of the information about the snowbound activities afterwards to help encourage everyone to get out that way and get the registrations going. If anyone here still on the meeting with us has suggestions for topics for us to cover or community information that we want to share, go ahead and send that out to us, info@southernfriednn.com, and we will make sure to include it or chase down the stories that we want to see in the community. Thanks very much, everybody. We're going to dismiss and go to our favorite watering hole, and Will Stroll there is going to get out to his wine bar.
Yeah, right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks very much. Good night, everybody.